In the 11th year of Supernatural, we learned that the balance of creation depended on the continuation or cessation of both light and darkness simultaneously. Otherwise, everything would just wink out of existence. This nearly occurred when Amara fatally wounded Chuck. But what if I told you that the Supernatural universe may have actually been on the brink even before that point and no one actually noticed? What if, when the host of heaven combined their powers into a single unified blow against Amara, it did far more than to just damage her, that it was instead potentially lethal? Of course, this sounds completely insane, given that we actually saw her survive. But did we? Let's revisit what Chuck indicated would be enough to theoretically kill Amara.
The darkness might have a weakness. Light.
He tells us now.
Well, I just wanted to trap her. I didn't want to murder her.
Okay, but now that we're trying to end her, how much light are we talking about?
I don't know. 10,000 suns? Set to supernova?
Something which Billy later achieved by gathering over 200,000 souls into a bomb that was implanted into Dean, with merely an hour before detonation. But why would this work against Amara? As the darkness within creation, she could only be overwhelmed by one singular force, light, which follows a specific pattern. When Chuck sealed Amara away, he required the help of 4 archangels, as even he alone could not produce enough power or light to overcome her. One key point to remember is that Amara isn't inherently stronger than Chuck. It's merely the way she chooses to wield her powers that makes her so dangerous. After all, destruction is simpler. The release of energies from their entangled states is far easier than the act of binding them together. Light itself has inherent destructive capabilities. When a star goes supernova, it can sterilize an entire solar system, with the closest worlds have vaporized completely. The limitation, however, is proximity. The effect only occurs within less than a tenth of a light year, which is still an enormous distance. This explains why Chuck is capable of creating and destroying, yet incapable of permanent destruction without Amara. After all, anything destroyed by Chuck leaves a lingering presence within creation. This is why the mass smiting has such a massive effect. After Amara mortally wounded Chuck, she specifically said one phrase.
My brother will dim and fade away into nothing.
Light, when extinguished slowly over time, behaves exactly this way. It fades. What about darkness? Darkness doesn't simply vanish. When the sun rises, darkness isn't destroyed, it gets scattered. During the first mass smite, the unified blow of heaven struck Amara head on. She withstood the intense burst of light, unlike anything that has been seen since the early days of the world when Sodom, Gomorrah, and the other 3 plain cities were annihilated. But this highlights a crucial point. Light is inherently destructive, but its effects is constrained by proximity. Angelic power is essentially a scaled down version of Chuck's light. Less vast, less individually potent, but when combined, it creates a deadly burst. It's important to note that Amara was likely not at full power when this happened, which explains why later attacks did comparatively less damage. But the question is, if Amara was dying similarly to Chuck, why didn't the universe begin to wink out of existence? The answer lies in the fundamental differences between them. Amara is the equal and opposite of Chuck, one being split into 2. They can harm each other and even kill each other, as demonstrated when Amara urged Chuck to kill her and when she nearly killed him. The mass smite, however, was composed of thousands of lesser lights combining their power. While formidable, they still fell well short of the raw output Chuck and Amara could achieve individually. The mass smite disrupted Amara severely, scattering her essence and casting bright day into what was almost the depths of night. Unlike Chuck, whose fading was highly visible through the sun destabilizing and plants dying, the effects of Amara's injury would be far more subtle. Her mortal wound was serious but not immediately catastrophic for the universe, allowing her time to recover, which she did in the form of Ambrielle. You see, when Ambrielle chucked on her after the blast, Amara was laying prone on the ground, not even breathing, to be entirely honest. It wasn't until Ambrielle approached that Amara consumed her grace as if starving, a move that had a secondary effect. Each human soul or demonic essence she's consumed has further empowered her over the course of the year. But angelic essence and grace are far more potent than both of them, closer to Chuck's light, and consuming Ambrielle essentially injected her with enough divine energy to stabilize her temporarily, to close the mortal wound. Even with this though, Amara remained severely wounded, eventually requiring Rowena, a naturally powerful witch, and the Book of the Damned to restore her fully. This indicates that the first mass smite had truly devastating effect upon her, to the point where Chuck likely could have resealed her had he intervened, but he chose not to. Now, of course, we don't have explicit evidence that Amara was dying, but the situation in the 11th year parallels Chuck's later fading. The Mass Smite demonstrates both her vulnerability and her resilience. The blow should have been instantly lethal for any lesser being. Even Lucifer might not have been able to withstand a concentrated attack of that magnitude. But Light and Dark are uniquely designed to harm each other, as they are each other's weaknesses. And for a brief moment of time, the supernatural universe may have been on the brink of disappearing, only averted by the Angel's intervention and Amara's recovery. The first Mass Smite served as a stark reminder: to stop the inevitable, you might just end everything.